It was general repair, and I built hot rods, and it was mostly evening type stuff. But I've been drag racing since I'm 18 years old. So the willingness to want to work on performance cars was always there. I mean, it was my dream to do that. So we did it, and eventually it overtook the general repair. Well, in all those years building cars, I always had to rely on somebody else to do the exhaust. So in 1995, I broke down and bought my first Bender. Now, it wasn't nothing that elaborate, you know. It was just a regular press Bender. So I started calling my customers back up. Now, what happened? This is how the whole X-Pipe thing started for me. In 1992, because I remember it, Alan Kulwicki, okay, who passed away, right? He was killed in a helicopter crash. Alan Kulwicki was on fire, upside down, Daytona or Talladega, whatever, upside down and on fire, okay? And the cameras zoomed in underneath the car, right? All right, and when they zoomed in, I'm looking at the bottom of this car, and I'm like, what in the world is that? They had an X-Pipe on that race car, and I'm looking at it, and finally, I mean, they spent enough time on it to look at it, and it got my wheels turning. So I started inquiring about it, and, you know, here and there. Most people didn't know what I was talking about. So when I finally found out enough information about it, when I got my machinery, I started calling all my customers back that we had done exhaust with, most of them, 99% of which were straight duals. And I said, guys, I want to put X pipes. You know, one by one, we started putting X pipes on their cars. So next thing you know, now back then we didn't have chassis dynos and everything. Every time we put something on the car, first thing we did, English down. English down, English down, English down, right? So when you put an X-Pipe on a car that has straight duals, I can tell you almost 99% of the time you're going to feel better throttle response. Okay, throttle response improves. Low speed, low and mid-range torque improves. So it's almost a given. So we started putting it on these cars. Next thing you know, the guy's going, oh, Nick, I picked up 2/10, I picked up 3/10, I picked up 2 miles an hour. I mean, there's significant differences, right? So I started making, I wanted to know more. So I started making 3, 3.5, and 4-inch X-Pipes. And I'd buy the bends, because I wasn't able to bend pipe that big, okay, and mandrel bend it. Of course, I wasn't able to do that. So I used to buy the bends. I used to cut them, weld them together, and I used to go to Englishtown to these divisional races. And I'd walk around the pit area, and I'd try and find guys that had cars that these X-Pipes might work on. They don't work on every car. You know, you kind of have, you know, it's got to be right behind the transmission cross member, underneath the drive shaft. You kind of look at it. So I started walking up to some of these stock and super stock guys, and I said, hey, listen, I had these things that are X-Pipes and everything else. Free. Take it.